So the PD session I'll be doing on Thursday at 2 is going to be in the late makeup work section. So one of the topics that we've all concerned about is if I accept late work, how can I kind of manage that so that I don't, I don't have tons of assignments and I'm constantly going back in time to try to figure out how to grade all these assignments. One way that we can kind of help with that is looking for tools that do automatic grade importing and scoring. The other kind of feature that I look for is that when I run a class live, I try to look for tools that provide real-time participation tracking. So we'll kind of cover these tools. The tools we're going to focus on are under this assessment tools tab. So if we click over there, that image will link there as well. You can get the article that kind of has all of our tips. So don't worry if you can't make the session. You can just kind of follow along here. It'll have all the tips that I'll be providing. I'll just do some live demoing and take questions. But one of the most common tools that you might be familiar with is Google Forms, and it does a lot of things really well. It certainly has the importing scores and automatic scoring. The only piece that I don't use it for during my live sessions is it doesn't do a lot of real-time participation. So you can't see when students start, when students end, how long they took. You only get their final score once they submit that. So one of the things that the second tool on there is kind of an add-on to Google Forms. And what it provides is it can provide some of that missing information. So it's an add-on to Google Forms. It's called Form Presenter. A quick caveat is it is a paid tool, and if people start using it, we can see what we can do to get it taken care of by the district. But what it can do is give you a little more secure form. So I tend to use Form Presenter for my summative assessments, maybe once a unit. And again, it provides automatic scoring, score importing. It does provide a lot more of the real-time student feedback. So you can see start time, end time, how long they took for the assessment, and it can also provide information like what device they logged in on and IP addresses. So it can help with some of the security issues associated with online assessments. The next two are what I use for most of my formative or kind of daily assessments. And Edpuzzle, we have a site license at our school. It does automatic scoring. It does automatic grade importing to Google Classroom. So this is, as students are doing that assessment, any scores they're getting in Edpuzzle are going to get transferred directly to Google Classroom once you connect the account. For information on how to set up these software, we do have individual web pages for each of the green software. So, and it'll go through kind of step by step how to connect, how to sign up for an account, and then how to connect it back to Google Classroom so you have that automatic grade importing. The last tool on here, and then Edpuzzle also does real-time tracking, so you can see how far along they are during that video, and then how many questions they've answered and kind of their performance in real time. So again, that kind of helps you know, rather than just that final end score that Google Forms provide, Edpuzzle can kind of provide that along the way. The other thing Edpuzzle does that I like a lot is the content library. You can almost always search Edpuzzle and find some relevant, somebody who's done questions for a video on a topic that you might want to use. The other one we have is Quizzes. This is really similar to Kahoot in format. My big reason to select it over Kahoot is that Quizzes does have this ability to import scores directly to Google Classroom, and it does allow students to automatically reattempt it if you select that as an option. The other feature that I think Kahoot and Quizzes are really good about is having a content library, so you can search about any topic and find quite a few resources and questions that you could then edit or use as is. So those are some good things. This really makes the idea of late work. So if a student doesn't perform well in the live session, they can come back later and reattempt it. And from a teacher standpoint, to regrade those scores could be completely automated. So with Quizzes and Edpuzzle, those scores are automatically pushed in. And same thing with Form Presenter. If you connect that one, those scores are automatically pushed over. With Google Form, it's just a matter of importing scores again, which certainly isn't too bad. We'll be covering a number of other softwares that don't do all those features, but are awfully useful. So Nearpod, Pear Deck, Kahoot. We're going to build out some pages on NoRedInk and Common Lit. These may not be, have greens all across the board, but they provide a lot of those features. And the only thing I would say is if you do have to manually grade assignments, you might just want to consider doing one or two of those per week. If you're doing automatic assignments that are automatically graded, you can be a little more, you can push, one of those per class is a little easier to do because you don't have to manually go back and grade. So if you can make the live PD session, I can take questions on these and we can kind of build up some more tools that you guys are using. And if you don't make the PD, you're going to have it all organized here. So you should be able to connect to those services and connect them to your Google Classroom. So that'll be the PD we're offering this Thursday. One of the options will be on assessment tools to kind of make late work a little more manageable.